Hello everyone, here we are again for a Christmas story, and I'm here with
Michael
and
Evie.
And we are going to read for you a book called The Santa Trap. And on the back here there's a warning. It says contains no peace and goodwill, which doesn't sound good, does it?
No.
Okay, so Bradley Bartleby was bad. He was born bad. Before baby Bradley even left the hospital,
He'd bitten the midwife on the bottom, stolen the doctor's stethoscope,
and emptied his nappy into his grandmother's handbag. Oh my goodness. And the older Bradley got, the badder he became. Look, tied up the postman there. Bradley's parents were immensely rich. They had a huge house with a garden that was big enough to lose an elephant in. They knew that the garden was big enough to lose an elephant in because they'd done exactly that. Bradley had demanded the elephant as a house pet, but treated it so badly that it escaped into the garden and was never seen again. Bradley's parents always gave him whatever he demanded. Not because they thought he deserved it, but because they were terrified of him. Look, they're terrified of him. Okay. Every Christmas, Mr. Bartleby hired a team of secretaries to type up the huge list of presents that his greedy son demanded from Santa Claus. Look, they're there, they're typing it up. Of course, Santa knew what a beastly brat Bradley was, so he never looked at the list, but that didn't mean that he forgot about Bradley completely. Santa is such a kind-hearted old fellow that he believes no child, even one as bad as Bradley, should go without a Christmas present. So every Christmas morning, Bradley would discover that Santa had left him the same small gift.
socks!
Howled Bradley.
Another pair of stupid socks! Never mind, Bradley dear,
Cried Mr. and Mrs. Bartleby as they rushed in with a trolley loaded with presents.
Look, Mummy and Daddy has got you everything you wanted. But I don't want presents from you!
Roared Bradley,
I want presents from Santa Claus like everyone else.
and he stormed back to his room. What an ungrateful boy. The next morning, Mr. and Mrs. Bartleby were alarmed to discover their son had climbed inside the living room chimney. They were even more alarmed to discover that Bradley had nailed several sticks of dynamite around the chimney walls.
What are you doing, dear?
Asked Mrs. Bartleby nervously.
What does it look like?
Scowled Bradley.
I'm building a trap.
Look, he's inside the chimney, building a trap.
A trap?
Said Mr. Bartleby.
A trap for what? For Santa Claus.
Snarled Bradley.
I'm going to catch that fat fool and take every present he's got.
Mr. and Mrs. Bartleby were speechless. In a lifetime of badness, this was quite the baddest thing that Bradley had ever tried to do. Look, here he is.
Uh-oh.
Mr. Bartleby was the first to come to his senses.
Isn't it a little bit early to be setting a trap?
He gasped.
It will be a whole year before Santa comes again. Oh, this is only the beginning.
Scoffed Bradley.
It'll take a whole year to finish it all.
A whole year to set up the trap. And he was right. Bradley spent the rest of the winter fixing dynamite inside all the other chimneys. And the spring training tigers, which he stole from the local zoo.
Uh-oh.
Look at the tigers there. He spent the summer fitting guillotines, which are things that come down and chop, all over the doors and windows. There it is. And in the autumn, cutting trapdoors into all the floors. By the time December came around, Bradley had turned the entire house into a stupendous
Santa trap.
By Christmas Eve, their home was so dangerous that Mr. and Mrs. Bartleby had moved out into a hotel, leaving Bradley alone in the house.
I can tell why they did that.
Look, he's in the house, all on his own.
one last thing,
said Bradley as he hung his stocking beside the fireplace. He was certain that Santa wouldn't make it that far, but just to make sure, he tied an invisible tripwire to the stocking. The moment anyone touched it, a large metal cage would drop down from above. Look, there it is.
No more stupid socks,
Thought Bradley.
This Christmas, I'll get exactly what I want. This Christmas, I'll get the whole lot.
But as the evening grew darker, Bradley's eyelids grew heavier. His evil efforts had left him quite exhausted, and he soon fell asleep. It was almost midnight when Bradley had awoken with the roar of an angry tiger whose tail had just been stepped on by an elephant. The house had grown chilly, and when he looked outside, Bradley was surprised to find the garden covered in a thick blanket of snow. Shivering with cold, Bradley decided to light a fire. It was only when the flames began to lick the chimney that Bradley remembered the dynamite. The explosion blew Bradley right through the living room window and out into the rose bushes below. Look at that explosion. Curiously, cursing loudly, Bradley struggled free of the thorny stems. He barely caught his breath when 6 sleek, stripy shapes came bounding towards him out of the snow. Look, it's the tigers.
Nice pussies,
Squealed Bradley as he fled back through the rose bushes with the tigers snapping at his heels. The tigers chased Bradley around the garden twice before he was able to lose them by diving into a heap of fresh elephant dung and creep back into the house. Determined not to be caught out in any more of his own traps, Bradley took a deep breath and prepared himself before opening the front door.
Ah!
He cried triumphantly as he leapt clear of the falling guillotine.
Ah!
He cried miserably as he fell through the trap door. Sometime later, as the sun rose on Christmas morning, a scratch, scraped and badly bruised Bradley limped back into the living room. There wasn't much of the fireplace left, but amazingly his stocking was still hanging up. And even more amazingly, Bradley could see that there was something inside. Bradley hobbled over and tore down the stocking. Here he is. It's all destroyed. Tore down the stockings and
Clang!
the metal cage dropped right over him. Look, right over him. Bradley let out a long sigh, and he knew that he was beaten. So he slumped down inside the cage and emptied his stocking onto the floor. For the first time ever, Santa had left Bradley more than one present. There was a big box of bandages, a large jar of antiseptic, and
a nice new pair of socks.
look, he's stuck in there for Christmas with his socks. Well, maybe serves him right. So we hope you like that story, and we hope you have a lovely, happy Christmas. Goodbye.
Bye.